Hey there, people. It's Jennie. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Friday. Ask Me Anything really has just turned into me asking all of my super smart mega agent realtor friends to help me out and teach me things that I want to learn about so that therefore you guys can learn as well. So today's guest is Laura Hyatt. And you're in Savannah, aren't you, Laura?
We are. Yep. Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, and that's a place that was supposed to be on my travels this last year. So I will get to reschedule and come see you soon.
Sent you lots of great info. There's more stuff now. It's even more fun.
There was this thing going on called a pandemic, but next year,
Weird.
Maybe we'll make
next year.
But in the meantime, we're going to talk about today because we share an awesome coach. His name is Jordan Freed. Everyone loves Jordan Freed. And he introduced me to you because you've been implementing on your team the golden letter. And we've got the golden text, we've got all the scripts, we've got all the things, and people want to know all the goodness about this. So this is the Laura Show. You tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you got into real estate, because you're a little unique in your role.
That's a fun story.
Yeah. And so, you are the director of operations and partner for your team. So I like director of operations.
Systems, man. Yeah.
So it's all you, Laura. Share with everyone who you are, what you do.
Cool. Yeah. So as Jennie said, my name is Laura Hyatt. I am the director of operations and a partner in ownership for Team Callahan. We're in Savannah. And I have been in this industry for over 13 years, which feels bizarre to say. And to Jennie's point on how I got into real estate, honestly, I fell into real estate. Just a broke college student who needed a job and kind of fell into a Craigslist ad for a part-time assistant to a real estate agent, which turned into full-time because I happened to graduate college. Remember that great thing called the Great Recession? That's when I graduated. So I just stayed put. And over the years, I've really been creating systems for our team. We joke that the budget, when I first started working with Don Callahan, who's my business partner now, the budget used to be, is the room on the Amex? Cool, just get it. So we were completely entrepreneurial in how we ran our team. In fact, it wasn't a team, it was just Don and I. And we kept kind of getting more intentional, a little bit at a time. In 2011, we hired our first MAPS coach, which was completely terrifying for us. Oh my God, how am I going to afford, the cost of this coach? And the first call, we were like, oh, okay, got it. I get it now. And so we've been in coaching ever since. I'm my own director of operations coach. I also coach together with Don, with Jordan. So it's been really fun. We've kind of organically yet strategically grown our team to today. We have, I believe the correct number is 13 team members. Today we have 13. Gotta check. Yeah. So last year we were able to help 281 families in the Savannah area for a little over 2 million in GCI. I mean, I think a lot of y'all remember last year and how real estate just, whoa, that was a ride. So we rumbled a lot of systems, tested a lot of things, and kind of stumbled into this golden letter. Pretty sure it was Jordan that brought it up, and I had to do some research and digging and trying to get my hands on a copy of it because it sounded like this mythical creature, and I was like, what is this golden letter? And when I finally got a copy of an example, and I was like, that's it. That's all this is. Simple. So it's so simple, and I think that's the beauty of it. We tried the golden letter a couple different ways to try to test it out, which I think you kind of have to do because every market is different. And right now we have a formula that is working so well for us. So Jennie, happy to just kind of whatever direction you want me to take this. Happy to dive in.
Well, first, I've got questions for you. So first, just explain what is the letter all about?
Yeah. So the golden letter, the whole premise of the golden letter, and I think this is where people get in our heads, right? We get up in our heads about like, what is this? What does it look like? The whole premise is to generate listing opportunities. It is not about actually having a buyer that is looking for a home. I mean, you probably do, right? We're in an inventory shortage across the country. What was that NAR article that said there's more NAR agents than there are homes for sale, which is hysterical. So the golden letter is just about generating opportunities for listings by having a hook, right? And so ours is very, very simple. And it is something that we mail out to kind of homes in the area. We first started targeting neighborhoods and doing kind of a generic letter. And the generic letter is simply, hey, this is who we are. We have a buyer who's interested in your area. Would you be interested in selling your home at 123 Main Street? If so, please give me a call at this number. And we would kind of mail merge them through Google Docs and print them out. We'd hand sign them. I think that's something that's key. You got to hand sign it in blue ink, because that is something that people have called us and said, your letter seemed authentic, your letter seemed real, right? And it's because we took the time to actually wet sign a name. And when we address the envelope, we wet sign, address the envelope, get out the good old blue ballpoint pen, write the name, and we don't put a return address stamp on our envelopes, right? Because if we think about it, you've got from the time they go to the mailbox to the time they get to the trash can to make an impact, right? People are thumbing through and being like, oh, bill, junk mail. What is this? What is this envelope with somebody's handwriting, this actual pen? And let me open it, right? And we don't put a business card in there because honestly, from a systems perspective, that's a waste of my business cards. You know, there's our letterhead is on there, our contact information is on there, our website is on there. Anything that would on business card would be on that letter. So really making it as efficient as possible to send them out. And we use Google as far as, you know, a spreadsheet to Google Docs. There's a mail merge that you can do with that. There's a great add-on in Google Sheets called Autocrat. And Jenny, I can send you a link to a video I did for Jordan that kind of just walks you through how to physically make that possible. And we set it up. I pulled the addresses. Started, and I think this is important to kind of understand the history for us. We started doing these like 250 per week, and we would target a specific neighborhood, right? And it was our generic letter, which was fine. We kind of worked our way through it. Our MLS has the ability to go in and kind of pull addresses for homes. You know, at the bottom, there's always a disclaimer, like if you're working with a real estate agent, please do not consider this a solicitation, cover your butt. Okay. And kind of worked our way through 250, you know, at a time. Our VA was awesome. She would kind of scrub them for us and make sure we didn't have any typos from the mail merge or any kind of weird formatting. And then we would print it, and one of our listing agents or our runner, bless his heart, our runner would hand address these and get them out. And we would get calls, right? But we would get the generic calls of like, well, do you have a buyer? You know, it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. And so we were chatting with Jordan, who, as you know, Jenny, is always about like, well, what's it doing? What's the data? What's the results? And we're like, it's kind of there. And so he brought up this idea of, could we pivot the golden letter to be more of a circle prospecting golden letter? And we're like, okay. So now we kind of transition to, we don't even do neighborhoods anymore. I mean, we literally, when we sell a listing, we will circle prospect that listing using the golden letter. Yeah. And when you can put that kind of data in there, it makes it so much better. Like, here's one that we just sent out a little while ago, and it says, dear whoever, you know, we just sold this address in your neighborhood, and this is bolded. We received multiple offers and we're under contract in just 4 days, selling for $21,000 over list price, which means demand is high in your neighborhood. Would you be interested in selling your home at yada yada to a client of ours? If so, give me a call. I mean, that's the powerful message.
Well, you know, I'm gonna pause you there for a second, Laura. So we've been running this from your instructions. You were so kind to meet with my Paula, and we've got your plan, and we've been doing the generic one. And now that I hear you, we need to step it up. Of course, if you guys have had a listing in the past month, you know that it sold in a minute, had multiple offers and tons of showings. So that should be the message. So thank you for letting me hear it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just telling a story. It was trial and error, which I think is a lot of our industry, right? And don't get me wrong, the prospecting ones to neighborhoods worked. They worked differently based upon the neighborhood. If we were going after like a really well-established neighborhood, we were going to get phone calls back that say, I already have an agent, right? Which we would expect. So the generic ones work better for newer neighborhoods where maybe it's not the like go-to neighborhood for someone to be buying in. That's where we had a lot of our better results from those. But when we pivoted over to the circle prospecting, I mean, the phone lines lit up, which was awesome.
Well, the material, and I stole this from Mary Cheatham King. See, whenever you coach with a superstar agent, and I see
Oh my
Shelby
God.
here too, it's so fun because we all get to just steal, rip off, and
Yeah.
get each other's stuff. So Mary Cheatham King's marketing team, they do this cute graphic whenever they have a listing sell really fast with that same data.
Right.
So this data then just translates from the circle, from the golden letters to your marketing message to the message that you're sharing with your people. Awesome.
Yeah, there's a great thing that I like to tell our people, like, listen, if we're not telling our story, someone else will, and the story that they tell might not be the accurate story. So it's fantastic for us when we're able to say, hey, here's the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we had to add a new source into our database for golden letter. And the day that we had to do that, we were like, oh my gosh, yes, we are winning. Like, we have to create a whole new source in our database for this new prospecting thing. So it's been really great for us. And the thing that we love too is that when someone sends one of our letters back to us, which happens, I already have an agent stop, and we're like, okay, cool. But at least they're responding, right? And that's what we want. Think about, you're converting a lead, right? You just want them to raise their hand one way or the other, and that's what we're trying to do here, And so we're super intentional about it. Every Monday, I'm asking our listing department, hey, what closed last week that we should be doing a golden letter around? And what's the hook, right? Is the hook that it sold for a crazy amount of money over list price? Is the hook the quantity of offers that it had? Is it the days on market? Is it all of the above? Like, I just did one earlier this week, and yeah, it sold for full price after a price reduction, right? So that's not the hook. It's not the hook. But the hook was we had multiple offers, right? So you can pivot that story. You can massage that story that's still true, but gives you the best opportunity to get the most amount of calls.
Here's what people are dying to know, Laura. So they get a call.
Yeah.
And they pre-qual or they ask the questions and their buyer isn't really a fit. How do you pivot from there to actually take a listing?
You never start by thinking about a buyer, right? Because the majority of the time, the caller is going to say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I got your letter, right? It's so generic. They're like, I got your letter. And you're like, and based upon the address, they tell you where their house is. All you have to know is what letters have we sent out recently, right? Keep that in the back of your head. And what neighborhood is that address they're calling about in, right? So if they call in, hey, I got your letter, fantastic. Whatever the name of the community, Ardsley Park, that's a fantastic community. The market is so hot there. I mean, you could probably say that about any community right now. And then the trick is you just say, how can I help? And you stop talking.
That's the script. How can I help?
That's the script. That's the whole script. How can I help?
Y'all hear that?
I always want to go in and have this play by play. And then one thing doesn't go according to that plan and you're in halt because you had it mentally prepared on how this is going to go, right? All you need is that introductory line. And then you just let them talk. Let them see what it is. It could be, hey, I got your letter. I'm just curious, do you have a buyer? I'm just curious what my home value is. I got your letter. I mean, we live there. I'm not going to sell that house, but I do have this rental property down the street. Like, you just never know why they're calling. Please don't call me. I have a real estate agent. Okay, noted. So just stay curious. I think that's the biggest thing, and the most important thing is just stay curious and be there to help. We want to be that educator on the market. We want to be that consultant when it comes to real estate, and let them talk so we can learn more. That's it.
Okay, so I also have a question for you. Who takes the call? What number is on the letter? Who is qualifying and collecting that? Sorry, my dog.
Yeah, no, you're good. So we have 2 listing agents on our team, and depending on, because we only do circle prospecting now, whoever's listing, we are circle prospecting around. That's the name and the contact information that's going on there. So one of our listing agents, she signs her own. The other one, I'm in there signing Dawn for him, keep it very simple. And then he'll get calls. Like, he was just telling me, because I was asking them for data, because I know you people are going to want the data. I asked him and he said in the last 2 weeks, he's received 6 phone calls from a letter that we sent out. 4 people were just curious and 2 have turned into actual listings or will be listings in the near future. So pretty crazy. And then our other listing agent, we've been doing her for a little while longer. And we started back in the fall, kind of the neighborhoods. We don't really count those anymore. So in the last couple of months, she's had 57 people she's added to our database as nurtures from this. About half of those she's either met in person or sent them pricing. And then from that, she's gotten another 6 listings. So we know that 1 out of every 4 or 5 that we talk about pricing with is going to turn into a listing.
Yeah. So
I'll take those odds any day.
yeah, I mean, it's great. And really, if I'm sure being the director of operations, you're monitoring how much you're spending on each letter and all of that, and you're getting a return on your investment. Here's some questions that I'm seeing just off that. How many letters are you sending out now per week?
Yeah, so that is based upon how many closings for listings we had the week before. So we do 150 letters per listing that sells. And we just go into the feature in our MLS. We're able to put the pin on the address that sold. And I just pull back the radius until we get about 150. And then we export that into an Excel spreadsheet and then do the mail merge. And sometimes we'll end up with 150, sometimes it'll be less, depending on, is it a city lot that's owned by the mayor? Well, we're not going to send the mayor or something, so there's some things that you're going to lose from fallout, just scrubbing. The bank is probably not going to sell the bank. So we do some scrubbing, we lose a little bit of that, and we do our best to not send anything that's already active on the market. We don't want to even touch that. So kind of weed those out and get them out there as soon as possible, right? It's all about timing. If we know closed last week, our listing department knows, hey, we're going to be sending letters this week. We can kind of time it and see, because they're going to call you the day they get it, right? This is not a thing that they're just going to let sit on their kitchen counter for a while. They're going to call you pretty much the day they get it. So we're deciding on Monday what we're sending out so that we can have those printed by like Wednesday, Thursday. So they're out in the mail. And that way we know that we're going to start getting phone calls either over the weekend or first of the week.
So you mentioned using the MLS for pulling addresses. I think we're using our RedX because we were already paying for that anyway. Are there other tools? What if people need a resource for how to pull the addresses?
Yeah, so there's a couple different options that we found. Our MLS, which powers through, I want to call it like Realist, maybe. It's Matrix, and they have the portal that goes to Realist. That's how we're using it to pull that data. You can also, for us, the tax assessor's office will have that information. It may be a little bit more labor intensive to get that, but Realist is where we're going. It's public address, right? Like it's an old phone book. You can find this information. It just takes a little bit of digging to find what's the most efficient source for your area.
Okay, this is kind of related and kind of not related. On the front end of taking the listing, are you guys also doing a just listed either postcard or letter so that then by the time they get the golden letter, it's another touch? I know that somebody is asking, how often do you repeat marketing messages to that neighborhood?
Yeah, so we don't do just listed. We only do the just sold with the golden letter. But I don't care if there's overlap from letter to letter, right? Because what we found is some people are going to list with us because they got the first letter. Some people are going to list because they know who we are. We've been around for a long time. They saw the sign on their neighbor's house go up and they saw the sign go down. And then they got the letter and realized, oh crap, that's how fast it sold, or that's for how much money it sold above list. So sometimes it's the one and done, and sometimes they need to hear that reinforcement that these are the people you want to be working with to sell your home from a couple different angles. So we don't saturate too much or oversaturate, get to where they're upset with us. We just send it when we sell. And you know what? If they get more than one, because they're just in an area that's super hot, then we sell our property, and well, congratulations, you're in a great neighborhood.
I see a question here on Facebook. Do you wait until it's actually closed or maybe just when it's pending?
That's my own personal juju on that one.
Yes.
I'm not sending out till it closes. Like I just need that fat lady to sing and then we can send it out. So I don't want to jinx anything.
I think if you've been in the business long enough, you know not to jinx anything at all.
Exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
sign until closing.
Yeah, I'm getting confirmation. I see that it was scheduled to close last week. Did it actually?
Yeah.
So, I'm not touching that.
I've got another one. Carrie on Facebook is asking, could you use, like, if you haven't done it for previous listings that have closed, can you go back in time and still mail to those neighborhoods?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, when we first pivoted to the circle prospecting version, we tried it with one listing that would happen to close that week. And the response was so crazy, right? So good compared to what we've been receiving that we were like, all right, we went back a full month, and just kind of hammered them out. I think our poor runner was like, his hand broke off because he had to sign so many things and mail them. So we had to go buy more envelopes. Like, it was a whole ripple effect of things. And so now our system is whatever closed last week, we send it out. And so now it's a more methodical way that we're doing it. But we definitely kind of hit some cannon fire there at the beginning.
So I know real estate agents, and we always want to look for efficiencies and shortcuts. And I think people are kind of getting caught up in the whole idea, like, I really have to hand address all of these.
Yeah.
Like,
or get someone
key,
else
right?
to. Yeah, like get someone else to.
Yeah.
I mean,
but no, let me make this really clear, guys that are watching, no return address at all. We don't want them coming back to us. And no matter what, we're already writing off the cost of the stamp. So,
and we don't want them to see that it's coming from a real estate organization before they open it.
right.
So we get the old school stamp that goes on there. We handwrite it in blue. We play with psychology, right? If someone's coming in blue, it's going to stand out more than anything else. It's handwritten. I don't care who writes them. I mean, one of our listing agents, she's like, I try to make their name like really fancy. So I think it's like something personal, like whatever thing you want to do to kind of play up on the psychology of that, go for it. But the power is definitely in the handwriting. And when you sign it, you can sign your whole name or you can just write the first name. It doesn't matter. But people will call us and be like, I called you. I've gotten other things in the mail. I don't know what they are, but they're from other real estate agents. And there's like, I'm calling you because yours seems most legit. And that's what we want. We want authentic, legit stuff going out.
Okay, lots of people are talking. I have 3 different comments or questions about envelopes. Okay, yeah. So what envelope should we use? Color,
oh my gosh.
white,
y'all ready for this? This is our envelope.
It's a normal envelope.
It's a normal envelope. I will highly recommend the little peel off thing because no one has time to lick these days, and COVID, who licks? And we buy them by like 500 to 1,000 at a time, like, because that's what we're going to go through. And as far as stamps go, we've started ordering our stamps from Sam's, which seems weird. Yeah. Just because they'll get here faster than ordering them online from the postal service or sending our runner to stand in line at the post office. Like, all about efficiency, right? I'm thinking, how many hours a month am I paying him to go stand in line at the post office when I could click and have it show up in our next Sam's delivery?
Okay, I love it because we're getting so many questions and this makes me excited. This means you guys are listening. Like, we'll talk about James Shaw, our friend. This isn't just your infotainment. You got to go get into action and implement this stuff. So what are the follow-up touches after the letters go out is one question. Then somebody else is very similar and asking, do you call a few days later?
So when we receive a call back, right, someone who's raised their hand and said, hey, I got your letter, and whatever their story may be, our goal is to do a little bit of filter, right? Are they someone that we should be adding to our database? Usually they are. Occasionally you're going to get the one wild card that you're like, that's great, we'll just file that away. We want to get them into our database so we can continue the relationship. And so we have built out the encouragement from Jordan, again, the keeper of all the things. We've made some custom 8x8 plans for mindshare and one specifically for sellers. And that's kind of easing them into our stream, because we know that if you're in our database, like for real, we're running 90 miles an hour. And if you're brand new to our database and we throw you into that 90-mile-an-hour river, you're unsubscribing as soon as possible. So we have this nice 8x8 that just kind of eases them into it, and then we'll put them into the regular stuff. So we're not calling to find phone numbers or whatnot, because the do not call registry is like crazy these days. So we're letting them call us, and then we're simply returning their phone call.
Laura, what if I'm a single solo agent or a small team and we're crazy busy right now with buyers and sellers?
Mhm.
Can I still do this?
Absolutely. I think it's all about scale, right? So maybe instead of 150 per listing, you're doing 50, and maybe you have your fourth grader, at home helping you at night to address the envelopes. It doesn't really even matter who addresses it. Doesn't even matter who signs them for that matter. The point is just to do it and to get it out, right? So when we first started the circles, we were doing 75, I think, per listing, but only the listings that were good. And now we're like, screw that, it's 150 for everything just because that's where our market is. So I think the great thing about a circle golden letter is that there's so much flexibility, right? And you're going to trial and error it. That's the whole thing. Rip off and duplicate. What is someone else doing? What are the things that we can do? Or, hey, when we just focus on that one piece of information, it was so much better. Or bold this or don't bold that. Let it be an evolution, right? Take what's working, continue to do that, see how you can go deeper. And if something's not working, that's okay. Pivot and keep going is the point.
Well, and you are all about measuring your activities, that there is a result. So, I just talked with Paula saying, where are we on this? How many calls have we received? Any listing appointments? So of course, Jordan, we will name drop him a few times today. Here's what he told me yesterday on my coaching call. Every listing, now this is what he says in his numbers, 250 letters go out should generate 6 to 7 people to call in. Of those 6 to 7 people, half of those are leads, half of those are nurtures or trash. 2 to 3, you should be selling 2 to 3 houses per that 250 start letter. If not at least one sale, then quit. These are my things.
At least one to quit, Jennie.
So I'm not necessarily a quitter. So I just feel like we need to tweak it, like what you said. So going for more of the showing and telling the story of this market is crazy hot. Here's what just happened next door. So what I'm noticing in our market, like everyone else is that by sellers doing nothing over the last year, their property has probably increased at least 20%. That's what our market looks like. So by doing nothing, no improvements, no new paint or whatever, your home has increased in value. Is it a great time for you to move? And so, like you said, the first call is a, how may I help you? It's just a needs analysis call.
And you're going to have some people that are like, yeah, I mean, if I could hypothetically get my amazing price or maybe one day, and that's cool. What we have done is we've created a whole separate tab on our seller pipeline for those golden letter nurtures, right? The people that are like sort of kind of maybe, or once the tenant moves out, or, just the not motivated, but not unmotivated, right? And so when our buyer agents are sitting here being like, please, for the love, someone put a house in the market that doesn't have 47 people competing for it. When they're running low in inventory, they can meet with our listing department and be like, what do you have? Do you have anything? And so we have a whole plan and a process for those people that, and we tell them like, hey, we're going to just hold on to your information if that's okay. And we'll kind of keep it on our in-house list. And if we happen to come across a specific buyer who it sounds like your home would definitely work for, then absolutely we'll give you a call. So that way you're given a reason for a follow-up call later. And that follow-up call could be, I have one buyer, or it could be, hey, so I know we talked about your house a couple months ago. You were kind of just curious. Well, I just want to let you know, I was doing some research in your area. And do you know there's one house on the market? I mean, I'm sure you do. You live in your neighborhood, so you have these layers of opportunity and layers of reasons to call. And maybe you can play matchmaker for a buyer that you have that doesn't have anything to buy.
It's all about relationships. You're adding people to your database. You know that you're going to nurture and love on them, which will maybe result in a piece of business right now and maybe in the future. Either way. Laura, what did I not ask you that you're always answering on this topic?
On the golden letters. Honestly, I think the thing that people always ask, and we kind of hit on at the beginning, is they want to play out the script all the way through. And there's this mindset fear, this limiting belief that I have to have an actual buyer, and who are they and what are they looking for? And what if they call me and it's not the right house? It's not. Get out of your own way, like let it go. It is not about the buyer or the hypothetical buyer. Like it is about an opportunity for listings. And you know what? Done is better than perfect. So just whatever it is, get it out there, let it be. If you need to fumble your way forward, that's okay, you know, but just get into action. I remember when we first started this, our listing agent was like, oh, she was in total halt because she didn't know, like, how do I answer these questions? And what if, what if, what if? And we told people on our team, like, get off the what if train, you know, like we don't let our clients ride it. Why would we ride it? So just get
Right.
into action and just stay curious. That's the most important thing, is to stay curious. You are there to help. And that might mean that, you know what, they're talking about the house, they love it, they're going to keep it forever. But do you have a handyman that could come out and like take care of something? Like, you just don't know what they're going to ask unless you stay curious.
I love it. What a great place for us to end. I am certain that you would be so kind to share the wording. I think people are
Yeah.
curious about what the wording actually looks like in the letter. So I'll share that later on if you'll send it over to me. Actually, I have it
Yeah.
in my Google Drive because you've already shared it.
Yeah, send it to you. But yeah, happy to send it again. Yeah, I'll send you that, and I'll also send you the video. It's like a tutorial, if you will, on how to use the add-on from Google Sheets
Yeah.
to Google Docs to do a mail merge, which is a total lifesaver. I'm all about efficiency.
I think that everyone that watched here with us and watches later on got some good nuggets to get them into
Awesome.
action. So hopefully next Monday at their team meeting, they say, hey, what listings did we sell last week? Let's send out some more
Yeah,
letters.
absolutely. Yeah, just get into it and get going. You're going to have results. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, sounds good.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.